Everybody, welcome to Stack Your Points. Thanks for watching and listening. And this is the Friday Q&A segment. So your questions, we answer them, sometimes up to an hour, sometimes it creates its own episode in and of itself. So if you have questions, always feel free to drop them on the YouTube channel or email us at stackyourpoints@gmail.com. But we hope you enjoy this week's Q&A session. Thanks for watching and listening. Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel, joined by Lonnie from Call Me Lonnie, reporting back from Barcelona and Mobile World Congress, I think. Lonnie, how are you today?
I did step on the showroom floor. One of my favorite cities and definitely my favorite tech conference in the world. But yes, I am back and it feels good to be back. So, hi y'all. Hope y'all didn't miss me.
You're greatly missed.
I watched last week's episode where I wasn't there, and it was very clear that you guys did not miss me.
You're always missed. What are you talking about? Yeah, it took me way too long, I'd like to admit, that when I realized what you were in Barcelona for, when I went, oh, so much cool stuff.
So much cool stuff.
Yep, we'll find out about it soon, hopefully. Anyway, we are also joined by Tariq from Reeks Rewards. Tariq, how are you today?
I'm good. Probably not as good as Lonnie was over the last week, but not everyone can be as baller as Lonnie, so I'm just chilling.
All right, folks, we're going to start the shot counter early.
Your points.
Well, credits, y'all.
That's the title of the podcast.
And we're also joined by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you today?
I am well. It's a couple of new things that I'll drop during the episode that have gone well this year. So far, so good. Off to a pretty good 2025 as far as credit cards go, at least.
Which reminds me, I still have to call Chase.
Do call Chase.
Matt, for the love of all.
I called tonight. To be fair, I called tonight. Apparently, business hours for Chase are not the listed 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on the reconsideration line. It is 8 a.m. to not 8 o'clock at night, because I tried calling at 8:14. I tried again at 8:47. So I will call during normal hours because people are stupid. Staff your lines, Chase. You know what? Fine. Whatever. We're going to jump into viewer questions. Our first question comes from a friend of the show, Keith, who asks, if you woke up on January 1st, 2026, every day becoming less and less likely, and were gifted one status via a hotel or airline program, what status would you request? And RJ, why wouldn't you request Globalist? So RJ, we'll start with you.
Because I don't stay at Hyatt. So having a status for a property I don't stay at doesn't do me any good. If I'm not going to stay at Hyatt, why does it matter what status I have? It's like if I picked IHG, I don't really stay at IHGs that much, so having that status isn't going to benefit me. Or United, not going to benefit me. I am going to pick Delta 360 just because you didn't say there was an end date, and if I could have Delta 360 for the rest of my life, then yeah, I'm going to take it. If I could have Delta 360 for a year, I'm going to take it, because I do fly Delta if I fly, and might as well ball out, get some extra points on my spend, and enjoy my life. So why not?
Makes absolute sense. Lonnie, I have a feeling we'll know what you would request, but let's hear it.
I mean, if you don't know me.
Exactly.
Pretty much. And I'm going to pull the same thing that RJ did. And one is, first, I'm going to go with the hotel airline. It's going to be an airline because you can't just pay to play with any airline program like you can with a credit card. So even if like, a Hilton Aspire or Marriott Brilliant or IHG Premier, which gives you like one of their top tier status, if not the highest tier status, the airline card, you can't just like sign up for an airline card and automatically you have status. So for me, I'm going to go like RJ, the airline I fly the most, United, and I am going to go straight to Global Services if possible, which is their highest level, not public, completely private, invite only status tier. The highest public tier is 1K. And if they won't give me Global Services, I will ask for 1K in this situation because they just made 1K harder in 2025. And I mean, it is harder. So I can only imagine it might be even more hard in 2026. So let's just go ahead, do not pass go, do not collect the $200 and go straight to reading Railroad on this one.
That's not how the card reads, but yep, that's fair. Um, Nope, global services, that is exactly what I thought it would be. Tariq, I also know what you'll be saying here. So, why is it globalist and why isn't it lifetime globalist?
You know what? It is going to be Lifetime Globalist. Thank you for reminding me on that because I don't think well, apparently. But mostly because, yes, I stay at Hyatt's. And whenever I stay at Hyatt's, depending on the city that I stay in when I'm driving, I'm usually playing the game of which parking garage is close enough to the hotel that's also cheaper, since I don't have to try to pay for parking at the hotel. So just parking at the property's garage or the valet and not having to worry about that or that scavenger hunt, or God forbid I park at the wrong garage and I get booted or towed. So that's just one stressor out. And also, I like to eat. My player two, we also enjoy, we both enjoy breakfast. So having free breakfast at the hotel, whatever Hyatt hotel, whether it be or like a Hyatt Centric or a Grand Hyatt or a Regency, having that free breakfast is definitely a perk. And also having the opportunity to get a suite upgrade, gotta love it because I like having rooms with the room. You know, ain't nothing wrong with it. So yeah, definitely Lifetime Globalist.
I want a room with a room in it, RJ.
Nothing wrong with a room in the room. I mean, something wrong with a room in the room when you're traveling by yourself. No, not really. No, if you can, multiple doors help. Unless the hotel's on fire. So if I was offered an airline status from one of the big three, that would be great. Then I'd switch to one of the big three instantly. I'm gonna go with Lifetime Diamond just from Hilton, just because I want diamond level earnings on my Hilton Honors card, and then I can build out my stash even faster, and get all of the perks of Diamond without having to pay for it. That would be cool. Because Lifetime Diamond is a pain to get because you have to be Diamond for like 17 years or something like that, which is a lot of annual fees. So give me the Lifetime Diamond. What's up, Lonnie?
I was gonna say that's doable if holding the card counts.
10 years. You just need it for 10 years.
Oh, really?
10 years.
Mm,
And then
no,
you can downgrade
downgrade to
your
the
card.
yeah. I don't want to wait 10 years. Just give me the Lifetime Diamond now, and I'll hold the Hilton Honors card forever, and I'll get my 34 points per dollar at Hilton. Then I'll eat the crap out of some mini bars. Anyway, so there we go. Our next question comes from M2K. Our next couple questions are going to be Hilton focused. So here we go. M2K asks, what is your favorite Hilton credit card and what's the best way to get 1 million Hilton points? Lonnie, I know what your favorite Hilton card is right now. So what is it and what's the best way to get to 1 million Hilton points?
I'm actually going to disappoint you because I would actually say probably the Surpass, only because I could use the bonus categories for
Every
gas
day.
and online shopping, which is more of an everyday spend than the U.S. restaurants that the Aspire gets, and the rental cars, of course, which I don't do often. I only do primarily when I travel. And yes, I know U.S. restaurants are different, but I don't eat out a lot. I cook at home almost every single day, like breakfast and dinner, and whatever I decide to make for lunch. So, and plus, how many different cards do I have that earn dining points? Is it going to be 4x Amex points, 7x on Hilton points? Is it going to be 3x on Chase points, or whatever?
IHG.
Exactly. So I would probably say the Aspire, but right now, just I got the I mean the Surpass, but right now I did get the Aspire, of course, because it did best fit within my personal travel strategy for this year for 2025, and that diamond status. That's main reason. I already had gold, and why would I get another card that just gives me gold and not really too much else when it actually comes to that travel day? You know, shout out to RJ again because her and our travel days are sacred. They are super duper important. So I went with the Aspire and of course, that instant free night certificate. Now, how to get to a Hilton points slowly. There's no strategy. Just you're going to get there slowly by not spending them, earning them. That's the best way I can tell you to do it. There's really no trick hack or anything like that unless you just want to keep doing upgrades, downgrades, sign up for cards, cancel cards. Again, use cards as intended, and eventually you'll hit 1,000,000. That's my answer.
There you go. Tariq, I know that Hilton is a foreign concept to you, but do you have a favorite Hilton card? If so, what is it? And what is the fastest way to 1 million Hilton points?
I would say for earning for Hilton points, I'm gonna have to go with Lonnie and use the Surpass. One thing that I can't 100% guarantee, but I know one thing with if Amex codes the same across whether it's their MR point cards, Hilton, Delta, member reward dollars, is one thing I learned on the Blue Cash Everyday on their online shopping category. If you use the Blue Cash Everyday on Walmart Pay as your default payment card and use Walmart Pay, that codes is 3% online shopping. So if Amex codes the same regardless of the card, that 4x online shopping on Hilton, if you do Walmart Pay, will code. So if you shop at Walmart, that might be a benefit. That might be something to look at. So it's a good way to earn. And like I said, the Surpass is probably the best earning card out of all of the three personal Hilton cards. So I'd probably go with that. And the best way to earn 1,000,000 points, hit all the sign-up bonuses on all of them. Maybe get all the Amex sign-up bonuses if you want to do that. Transfer them all to Hilton, and then only put spend on the Hilton cards once you finish the sign-up bonuses. And that's assuming you don't stay at Hilton's. And then maybe probably buy some Hilton points, because 1,000,000 is a lot of points. And that is a very long time. You're going to take a very long time to accumulate the points. So, yeah, happy spending.
I would like to have a question back to the questioner on why do you want 1,000,000 Hilton points? Now, granted, some Hilton properties, especially the 4.7 stars and above, you can see some of those nice rooms that start at like millions and millions of points per, not per night, but per stay, if you're staying 3 nights or whatever. Some of them probably have like 1,000,000 nights per stay, but are you planning on doing that? So I wanted to understand, is that saying 1,000,000 just a, fictitious number, or are you really trying to get to 1,000,000 points for a specific reason?
I just hope it's not to either 1, flex, or 2, just burn it all at whatever Hilton property is at the Maldives.
To be fair, the Waldorf Astoria Maldives is only 150,000 Hilton Honors points per night.
For what room, though?
That's probably a standard.
Man, I'm not going that far to figure it out.
You didn't scroll down.
And that's only one. And that's like what, one night?
Down.
And then, Hilton's dynamic, so God only knows. Maybe he's gonna do like a week in the top, whatever top room it is. One of those little villas out. It's on the water. God only knows.
That's not even a private room. That's in the tower.
That's in the tower with no view. That's an interior room.
A privacy hedge outside your window.
You know what? I tried.
You didn't try hard enough, Matt. But it's okay. We still love you.
Fair. RJ.
So a 2-bedroom beach pool villa in the Maldives is 742,000 points per night. So with a
Okay, so
million
2 nights.
points, you can stay there one night. It's also like $2,900. So even my math skills can tell me that just pay the money. Anyway, not that I plan to go to the Maldives anytime soon. I'm going to follow my co-host. The Surpass really is the best card unless you want the free night cert, um, and don't want to spend the 15,000 to get it on the Surpass. But for every other real metric, it is probably the better card or the better bang for your buck. Fastest way to 1,000,000 points, spend $33,333.33 at Hilton properties with the Surpass, because with your gold, you'll get about 30 points per dollar. That's the easiest way. Like, you don't have to do voodoo. Simply spend the money.
Stay at the Waldorf Astoria in the Waldies in that
Yeah.
2-bedroom villa. You'll get your million
Yeah.
points.
Being
10
that now,
10 days of doing that.
now RJ has went and did some math on how much it would cost. What do you want the million points for? Because whatever you're going to use it on, it'd be cheaper to just go buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, like I said, it's a hypothetical, fictitious question, but I honestly do want to know.
Let us know in the Stacker Points Discord in the podcast chat on Friday. Yeah, like my co-host, the Surpass is the everyday killer card. If you are all in on Hilton, if you want to make your Hilton stays a bit easier, whether you're paying cash for Hilton, whether you are buying your groceries, buying your gas, buying your meal, or purchasing things on Amazon or other areas of the internet, the Hilton Surpass is a great day-to-day card. The Hilton business card gives you 2 extra points per dollar in general spend, but that's up to $100,000 per year. But business card, personal card wise, unless you are hunting for status, unless you absolutely have to have Hilton Diamond status and everything associated with Hilton Diamond status. And trust me, Hilton Diamond status is pretty dang sweet. Unless you absolutely have to have Hilton Diamond status, and I understand if you do, the Surpass will do you just fine as an everyday card. Fastest way to 1,000,000 points. One, apply for the Hilton Surpass during an elevated welcome offer, usually something around 150,000, or right now they're doing 130,000 plus a free night certificate. Use the free night certificate how you see fit, and decline for all that is holy. Decline the pressure that they're going to give you on the phone call. This is why I don't love the Hilton free night certificate. They like pressure you to try and do the phone call to set up the timeshare. So that's annoying. Say no to the timeshare to begin with. Hit that welcome offer, hit another welcome offer, and then buy 320,000 Hilton points when they are doing the 100% bonus.
2 things on the timeshare call, because I've done it now twice. The first thing is, don't do the call unless they offer you Hilton points, which they can. At minimum, the lowest they've ever offered me is 2,000. I think the highest they ever offered me was 10,000. And the second I get on the call with them, I let them know 2 things. 1, I'm not interested. I only want the points. Thank you very much. And the other thing is when they try to like rebuttal you, be like, I have a travel channel on YouTube. Come check it out. It's Call Me Lonnie, all one word, Lonnie spelled Lani, and hit the subscribe button. They've actually done it while on the phone.
Awesome.
So take the call if you're, a fellow creator, large or small, or you can get something else out of it, but negotiate that that whatever currency of time or whatever. Like if they say, all right, yeah, this call is only going to be a couple of minutes and, we're just going to ask you a couple questions, we'll give you 2,000 points. If that doesn't sound good enough to you, there's a little red button on your phone that will instantly hang up.
Yep. Yeah, I need to learn to use that next time I have a free night certificate. And remember to use my free night certificate earlier than the month it's set to expire. Anyway, lessons learned. RJ, you had a follow-up thought?
I do. So Matt has the Hilton Honors card. Lonnie has the Hilton Aspire. I have the Surpass, brand new to me. Still hasn't hit my Amex account. Looking forward to that. So Treek, you got to get the business card, and then we can Captain Planet the Hilton system.
175,000 Hilton points, 5 times points on all purchases up to $100,000, 12 times points on Hilton properties. You get Hilton Gold. You get National Executive, which you can status match to any other car rental status you want. And you're aching for a welcome offer for something.
And they won't accidentally report to your personal credit. Oh, did I say that out loud?
And they don't have a 524 rule. Oh my God, I said 524 on this podcast.
What? You didn't say Chase Marketing? I'm shocked.
Built card. Right. We got it out the way.
Yep, there you go. To everyone who is thoroughly inebriated now, we're sort of sorry.
Moving on.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move over to our last Hilton question, which comes from JP, who asks, the Hilton Aspire card offers a free night certificate on your card anniversary date, also when you get the card. This certificate becomes available 8 to 10 weeks after your anniversary and expires 1 year from issuance. Considering that Hilton releases their room availability exactly 365 days in advance, when award availability is typically best, what time of year would you choose for your card anniversary date to maximize the value of your personal travel schedule? Assume you're keeping the card long term, your annual fee timing works with your budget, and there are no special sign up bonuses to consider. So, when in the calendar year is the best time to have the welcome offer hit and to get your free night certificate earlier, or to best maximize it? Lonnie, I'm going to throw to you first. Again, sorry.
No problems there. I'm the resident Hilton Aspire owner right now. What am I? What's today? March? I'm about 90-ish something days in, three months in with it. And I have burned almost every single credit, and I'm absolutely in love with it. And yeah, exactly. And diamond status makes a difference. I can tell the difference between my gold status from my platinum card and the diamond status that I've already received from my Aspire card. But let's get into the actual question itself. So there's two parts to this. When it comes to the best planning time, the first part, and I think this could be more universal, depending on the person and what time of year they actually do their planning. And like I say, and I say this because everybody that plans for a vacation plans for it at a specific time. Maybe you have kids and they are out of school for the summer, so you start planning at a certain time of the year for that type of, freedom and schedule when they're out of school. Me personally, I like to plan at the very beginning of the year so I can knock out the end of the year and the beginning of next year all at the same time. I've talked about my Q1 before. I know Matt knows about it heavily well, where I do so much planning in Q1 and then is literally for Q1 of the next year. So I'm already finalizing trips for 2026 Q1 for myself and my family already. The other aspect of it is I have so much spend that comes through my Q1. I know taxes are coming through. I know that's actually April in Q2, but I can pay them in Q1. I have my car registration, all these things that have, high spend. I got a lot of my annual fees that come in. I know that doesn't really count, but I'm just saying. And I do this because I get a card around the same time every single year. And I do that on purpose to plan around that welcome spend, where I know I'll have no problem hitting welcome spend. And if you've been following my channel, especially if you're a member of my channel, even though I just got the Aspire card, I recently even had a small members only conversation about the Surpass card and if I should get it or not, because I know I can hit that spin. I know I can still hit the Aspire spin. I actually, funny enough, just got a retention offer on my MX Gold card that also comes to spin. I'm not going to have an issue hitting any of these because we're all still in Q1. So to answer your question, now there's not a specific time of year. I can't say sign up for a card in October, sign up for a card in July, but I can say sign up for a card when you normally are going to be planning your vacations around that vacation date. So that way, when that free night certificate comes, you won't have to pull them at the 11th hour of the 11th month at 11:59 p.m. trying to find out how to use it. You already know how you want to use it and where you can use it. You're waiting for it to drop in. And if that doesn't work, the other option would be playing around when you know you can hit that welcome spin if it's going to be a new card. So if you know you got to hit $6,000, it's $2,000 a month ain't in your cards, or in this case, you get 6 months, so $1,000 ain't in your cards. But you have that one time a year where you know you're going to have high spend. Let's call it tax season again. In April, you're going to pay taxes. You might pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in taxes, which makes hitting the remaining $2,000 a lot simpler. So then I would say apply for it in March, maybe February, somewhere around that time frame where you can know you can hit that welcome spend.
Absolutely makes sense. The only thing I'll add right now is that cert can come early. It doesn't necessarily have to hit 8 to 12, 10 weeks. Unless, Lonnie, did you get yours after 8 weeks? Because that would have been about like last month.
It was about 6 to 7.
Okay.
But remember, I was brand new. I have heard from others that do have the card, friends of community, other co-creators that already have the card, that said it comes a lot sooner the second time around, but the first time it can take quite a bit. And for me, I believe it was probably right around 7 or 8 week mark when my first one hit.
So we'll check back in December on that one. RJ, your thoughts here?
So I'm gonna pull a page out of Lonnie's book and really kind of go with it depends. Like if you have kids and you know you're not taking trips during the school year, like if your kids are old enough in school where you really can't pull them out, they're not learning not to eat pace, they're learning like trig or something, then you know you're not going to use it during September, October, March, April. You might have a break in there, but you may or may not want to do spring break with your teenagers. Well, there's a bunch of frat kids around. So it's going to really depend on you and on how you travel. If you have a year of availability, that's also a fairly large window. Yes, there are some, limitations on, when you can use things, but you still have a pretty big swath of time to use this, right? Like it's not like you have 1 month to use it once it drops. So I think that you're going to know how you plan more than we're going to know. If you're somebody like Lonnie who is sort of militant in just having things, I'm planning Q1 here, I'm planning Q2 here, I'm planning Q3 here, I'm planning Q4 here, that's great. If you're somebody maybe more on the Matt end of the spectrum that's like, I need to get out of my house now and I have a free night certificate to burn and I will burn it now at this Hampton Inn on the side of the road if I must, then it doesn't matter when it comes out. You got it, burn it in good health. So it really is going to depend on how you particularly do. If you care about a year from now, then you know that, right? You know that about yourself. You can sort of figure that out. For me, if I were to go up to the Aspire or if I hit the 15 on the Surpass and I got that, I wouldn't really care about what time of year because I can sort of plan out, but I might not. I might hold it for a few months until something comes up. So for me, it doesn't really matter. For somebody like Lonnie, it might be more mattering. For Matt, who knows? For Tariq, he's just trying to eat some barbecue, man.
And burn Hyatt points. Yeah, so if you know where you want to use this certificate, if you know exactly what property you're burning it on, what Waldorf Astoria, what Conrad, what LXR, what like Crockford you're trying to get into. One, are you making sure that you can afford the rest of the week? Are you doing a week? Are you doing a weekend? Are you doing, you gamed out the points on that? As long as you gamed out the points on that and you've got like 3 other nights paid with points. No, I'm sorry, 4 other nights set up with points, and you call and you get your free night certificate applied, and then you get one of the nights paid back to you because fifth night free for holding the card. As long as you've got that game plan in mind, you're doesn't really matter when you get the card. As long as you know you're going to have the points to do that sort of vacation every single year, you are set. Now, if you're planning on burning it at one night at the Waldorf and just or one night at the LXR or one night at the Crockford, and like the rest of the vacation is going to be like the Hampton Inn down the street, does it really matter when you're traveling? Um, so I say that half-heartedly, but also at the same time, I do also say that with a certain amount of seriousness, because if you've got it gamed out where you want to go, how many nights you're going to be there, are you going to have the points to do it? Whatever your strategy is going to be to get the additional points to make that booking so that you get the fifth night free, you include a free night into it, and you really raise your cent per point. Not that cent per point necessarily matters, but like if it's something that matters to you in terms of how you're navigating this, like really raising the value of your trip, great, right? Like, there really isn't a set time frame that you need to worry about. The biggest thing will then be, are you going to have the points to make the rest of that vacation worth it? Because burning a night, like getting a night at the Crockford, is going to be awesome. Spending the rest of your vacation at the Hilton Garden Inn down the road because you didn't have enough points to cover the rest of the Crockford after a night at the Crockford is going to destroy your vacation. Not because you didn't have a wonderful time on your vacation, but because you went from diamond status at the Crockford down to the Hilton Garden Inn and you didn't
Matt,
plan.
Matt, are you talking for a friend?
No,
You're
I'm
being
talking
really
for the,
specific right about now.
I'm
Also,
talking for
pro
the,
tip, if you're going to burn a cert on your vacation, make it the last night. Make it at the end where you can go out on the high note. Don't do the thing where you stay at the really nice one the first night because you were like, oh, I want to start vacation all fan. No, no, no. Last night. Relax in the
yes.
big tub. Have the turn, like, do it then. Do it then, friend. That I am speaking from experience. Not in this particular circumstance with a free night cert for the Crockford, but like, trust me, be fancy at the end.
Now,
You deserve it.
I would add, only to contradict Matt. So I use my free night cert for one night, but it's on disembarkation day for our 2025 cruise. So instead of having to get off the boat and grab your bags and head to the airport and try to fly across the country, no, I get a nice, going to RJ's point now, I get a very nice room for one day to decompress, and then we can wake up the next morning and fly out. So I did burn mine literally for one night. I looked very cheap on that phone call.
Please allow me to revise and extend my remarks. Know what your vacation looks like. If it's disembarkation day for the cruise, awesome. If it is day one of a 7-day jaunt in Vegas, make sure you got the other 6 days covered. That's all I'm saying. Tariq, any final thoughts on this one?
Nah, y'all covered it since y'all are the resident Hilton users. I ain't got Hilton. I don't think I could have added anything more than what the three of y'all said. So I think I'm gonna bow out on this one. Other than the fact that you get a year. A year is a good amount of time to plan. So I don't think, I don't know, maybe I'm just not the one that like overthinks too much on planning. I just think like a good amount, other than just my strategy is just burn Hyatt points whenever. There's not much thought into that, RJ. Don't look at me like that. But Nah, I mean you get, a year is enough time, and as long as you have the like, I would just get the card whenever you have to spend for it. But that's just me. So yeah, no, I'm just gonna bow out on that point. I think y'all kind of hit the nail on the head, and it's already in the wood. I would just make it worse.
Tariq's just chilling, dreaming about barbecue.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, one of my favorite barbecue places opens on Wednesday. I might get some before I leave for my trip.
Is it Pinkertons on Airport Road?
It is not on Airport Road. That is on Houston Street downtown.
Pinkertons is still my favorite in Houston.
They do have, there's two locations because there's one in San Antonio as well.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Before we go off on a tangent, Matt, let's take
Moving over to friend of the show, Kid Cat's question, and Kid Cat asks, do you ever foresee the big three domestic carriers implementing international style business class on shorter domestic flights? And if they did, would you have any interest in flying them? Categorizing short domestic flight, it's anything under 5 hours. So international business class on a shorter domestic flight, 5 hours or under. We'll throw to Tariq on this one, just because it'll be really funny.
Honestly, as much as I would love to fly that, I think it just would. I don't think United or any of the big three would make up enough money for those flights, or else they'd be charging like an exorbitant amount that looks ridiculous. If you're going to be looking at the price of a domestic long haul first class flight for that, just so they can make up the cost, because they don't make a lot of money on those first class seats. Like they charge a bunch, but you know, they lose money on that. That's why they pack the economy class like sardines, like on a wide body 787, it's like a 333 or God forbid a 343 on an Airbus, wide body Airbus. So nah, unless they can find a way to make money off of it, like good money, and actually instead of just being like a loss leader, I don't see it happening. I don't. We're just gonna stick with the wider seats on domestic economy, and hope that they have IFE on the seats. Unless you're American, then you're just SOL.
Can they fly the Airbus Beluga between JFK and ORD? If they can, and not lose money on fuel, maybe.
They will lose money just from taxiing, just from pushback from the gate to the taxiway. That ain't happening.
I would love to see an airport try and support the Airbus Beluga. It would be hilarious. RJ, your thoughts here?
So I have a couple of thoughts. First thought is simply the fleets for the three major carriers wouldn't be able to support this. Because if you're thinking about, 5 hours, so those are like the flights I fly. The planes that I fly on couldn't support this. Maybe you take out the first row of seats and simply have two pods in the front of those, but that's it. Like that's the most you could do, right? Like physically in space, that's the most you could do. So they would either have to upgrade their fleet, which is not the strong point of any of these airlines, or you would have to have the most ridiculous looking like two little pods in the front of these planes that you've ever seen. The second is like if you have enough money that you would be able to fly this with any regularity or be able to fly this really at all, and you want to do this, you're not that much in space objectively away from just having a chartered flight for that particular flight. Now, I'm not talking like own a private plane. That is a lot of money. That is real millionaire money. I'm talking like you can chart, like I could in theory afford to charter a plane for a particular special event, right? Like if I was ever going to get married and I wanted to do a bachelorette party somewhere, like I could afford in theory to charter a plane for that, right? Like it's not an unholy amount of money. So the people who are flying out of New York City or, DC or whatever, they have enough money potentially to just charter flights for this. If they wanted that level, if they wanted above first class level, they would just charter. So I think the margin there is so thin of that segment that wouldn't charter but wants more than first class. Now, do I think they should make first class better? Yes. As somebody who flies first class, yes. Making it a little better, making it more of the old school first class where you do get a little bit more than you're getting now would be nice. But I don't think there's a market. I think LAX to JFK, like if they want to bump that up a couple of notches, I think there is a potential market for that just because the people who are making those flights, I think, are a little bit different than the short sub 5 hour group. I think most of the time they just want to, they're doing potentially day trips or one nighters. And I don't think there's a market for it as much as I know Kit flies that length of flying a lot and would love it personally. But I'm sorry, buddy, I don't see it for you.
I understand the want to get out of the CRJ. I do. It's a very hateful plane. It hates you. Um, I don't see it necessarily. Now what I could see is something like JetBlue's Mint or like not maybe not Mint Suite, but like Mint or at an extreme Mint Studio from like New York to Denver on a direct flight, maybe, but that's like the extent of it. Um, Most likely you're going to get like that business class or that lay flat seat on a transcontinental flight. That's the only way to really make it feasible, especially with the fleets that are currently being flown. So I don't think it's possible on a short domestic flight. There is no way that any of the big three is going to do like New York City, any of the New York City airports to Orlando and allow you for life lap first class because or life lap business because they need to get as many people on that plane as possible. Um, and so yeah, unless one of the big three wants to buy an Airbus Beluga, um, I don't see any way for it to happen. Lonnie, your thoughts here?
No, you guys touched on most of the points. Like Tariq originally stated, is um, the the airlines would need to fill it up, and it will be almost impossible to be able in those short haul, those 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour flights. I mean, even East Coast, full East Coast to West Coast, depending on which direction, if you're flying east or flying west. Let's just call it a 6 hour flight, and that's like the only domestic flights where you can get those lay flat seats, at least for with United. Um, and sometimes you'll get it, and they won't even give you Polaris class because they're like, dude, no. But there have been times where you can luck out when they need one of those airplanes, those lie flats. So I'm going to use United, the 700 series, so like 767, 777, 787, or one of the Dreamliner lines, in the lay flat seat for those small domestic flights because they need one of those big planes somewhere else. So, like, of course, Chicago, they got them there for people that are flying internationally. Denver, they got them there for those new routes that are flying internationally. But you normally see them in like EWR, Newark Airport, that is, SFO, LAX. And so, like, if they need that plane that's in Denver, you might luck out and be able to fly on one of those on a short haul flight on a lay flat seat. But the thing is if you go look it up, going back to Tariq's point around the money and filling it up, no one's going to pay $8,000 for a 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour flight when I could just go sit in the back for $400 and use my 1K or whatever status you got. Hell, even gold status would probably get you up to the front, get you an upgrade. So they're going to lose money there because all those seats will just be filled with upgrades. No one's going to pay, 4X for the same flight, period. So yeah, you're going to have to get on one of those big flights. But like I said, if you're flying through one of those hub airports where the international flights happen, it's happened to me multiple times where it's like Denver to California, Denver to LAX or something like that, and it's only like a 4-hour-ish flight, 3.5-hour-ish flight, you might actually get on one of those planes for a domestic flight. But it's because they needed that plane in LA. And so they're like, yo, everybody on the bus.
Yeah, the only like short haul flights that I'm aware of that are that like might offer something like that would have been the short haul flights like Japan Air 123 that was a flight from Tokyo to Osaka that's only like an hour and a half, but because of how many people take that flight, they could fill a 747 for that flight. But the likelihood of that being the case, like nobody flies from New York to Charleston, South Carolina with that sort of like ability to fill a plane.
There's a reason why those regional jets exists.
Yes.
As much as it sucks, because I've flown a CRJ.
Even from like New York City as a whole, right? The three major airports in New York City down to DC, like people take Amtrak. Like that's one of the few places in the country where taking a train between two major US cities is reasonable because so many people do it because it is they can't fill it in the same way. Like the US is a weird country when it comes to transportation. Like we don't have the train systems that other countries do. We don't have the public transit that they do. Our cities are weird and sporadic and like the cities that people think are close together just aren't. Like people think New York and Boston are right next to each other and it's like 4 hours between them. Like if you explain that to somebody in Europe, they would be like, but those are two countries. And I'm like, no, they are neighboring states that share quite a lot of border. So we're a weird country when it comes to transportation. We should be better, but we are going in the opposite direction.
And for those that are watching, take a drink because that's not even including if you're in freaking Texas. You could drive 10 hours and still be in Texas.
Alaska would like to check in with you, sir.
Yeah.
As with California.
Well,
New York, you can't get from the point the Canadian border out to the end of Long Island in 10
3
hours.
is you can get 3 hours from we said New York to Boston. 3 hours is San Antonio to Houston. Now, yes, obviously there's states like Alaska where there's nothing but cold and polar bears, and California is just bad traffic. But
Alaska is still twice the size of Texas.
Yes, we know. Okay, cool.
Do you
Yes,
know,
I know that. But you know what? Continental United States.
Anyway, guys, it's Infrastructure Week. It's going to be Infrastructure Week. It is always Infrastructure Week. Remember, have I said, it's Infrastructure Week.
Look, I just came back from Europe, and every time I'm there, I'm like, why is every city so walkable? Unlike America, not every single person here has to have a car.
Because they're 1,000 years old. The car was a concept that would get you stoned or thrown into a river to see if you sink. And if you sink, you were innocent.
Good public transportation system is not socialism. It's
oil and gas industries like to have a word with you, Lonnie. I don't think Valero is going to take too kindly to you wanting to push public transportation when they can do more gas station and highways.
I've talked to behind the scenes, I've talked to all three of my co-hosts about the vehicle I drive. I am part of the problem. I'm just saying, walk cities are great. They're just so good for the health and for the body, right?
I think we all unanimously agree, but I know you and I, to an extent, are part of the problem. Not as much as you, but I'm guilty of it too. For crying out loud, I still drive archaic forms of transmission. I still use 3 pedals and a 6-speed shifter. So,
look,
I am.
Dinium is 3,000 years old. It was designed to be walked around in. Yes, we knew.
But all
cars are witchcraft.
Like London has a great subway system.
Yes.
And a shared taxi system. There's taxis just everywhere. It's a walk city. You don't need a car. You can ride a bike. Let's not even get into like Denmark, where you can just ride a bike everywhere. America's just not on it. We're just not on it like they are.
It's Infrastructure Week. We'll get it figured out.
No, we won't get it figured out. I think we've been around long enough to realize we do not have a transcontinental high-speed railway.
I know. I
We will get it figured out right after Matt gives his secret plan to fight inflation.
God damn it! Why'd you have to tell them that I had a secret plan to fight inflation? Now I have to go figure out my secret plan to go fight inflation. Anyway,
Put it in
stagflation
Doge
really
form.
at this point. May as well. Last question comes from Jason, who asks, I recently was looking through all of the cards I signed up for in 2024 between me and my player 2, and every card is either getting product changed or canceled, except for one, ironically, the build card. You don't have to drink on that one. Do you do any kind of similar analysis, and what would you've changed about your card acquisition over the years to make sure that you're getting things that provide value? We're going to go to our fast and loose credit card acquirer here on the panel, and that would be Tariq. Do you sit down and analyze these things?
I wish I did.
This is why I called on you first.
I wish. I really do. Because I would have probably avoided the headache of, a certain card denial because I went, ooh, shiny, 75,000 Hyatt points. Now, granted, I've used all those Hyatt points and they're useful, but now I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to use the card. I mean, other than the gym memberships. But,
And Hyatts.
Well, yes, Hyatts too. But yes, gym memberships and Hyatts.
You would have to spend money at a Hyatt and not just points for that card to be useful.
If I had pearls, I'd be clutching them right now at the thought.
Now, to be 1000% fair to you, Tariq, if you had gotten Ooh Shiny, you'd be in a much deeper hole than you are in right now.
Fair. I think obviously it happened for a reason. I mean, I'd still find use for the card that I lost in pursuit of Ooh Shiny, but it is understood. It's understandable. So yes, it happened for a reason. But now that Ooh Shiny has kind of gone away and I actually got I'm going to call it a gardening card because I got the built card because I rent. So I think now that I have that and that kind of quells my desire to go hit a sign up bonus every 5 minutes, it actually gave me time to think and figure out what the plan is, which right now, I think I'm good. Obviously, I have points coming for certain spend and certain events that I'm doing, but for the most part, I'm just kind of in a points earning mode where I'm just using my cards. Unless I can somehow get that 20,000 UR point and 3 double point thing on the Freedom Unlimited, I will burn my last 524 slot for that because that can get me a pretty healthy amount of chase points. But other than that, I'm not going to be doing anything for the next probably like 6 months, honestly.
So Tariq is good, or as he would say, chillin', water is wet, the sky is blue, and General Franco is still alive. Lonnie, do you do any kind of analysis on your cards or change your card acquisition strategy? How do you go about these things?
I mean, I reevaluate often, but I don't actually do a lot of change. I don't cancel. I mentioned this before. I've never personally canceled a card. I've had a card canceled for non-use. Like, okay, I'm not using this card anymore. It may be a $0 annual fee card, and I just let it sit there until the bank closes it. So you can kind of say that's kind of like a churn, but it's on the bank side. For product change, not too much, but I'm not going to say no. So first off, with my player 2, now that my son hit the age of 2 and things changed with how United, deals with persons at age 2, she took her United Explorer card, upgraded it to signed up and got used my referral, signed up for a brand new United Club Infinite card. and then product change her Explorer card down to the gateway, the $0 gateway. Now, for us as a family unit, it was best for her to have that card versus me, because I already got so many cards that have lounge access and all that other stuff, and I still get my 2 free passes from Explorer card. So from a family unit, yes, we literally just did a product change over the last couple of months. The other aspect is we just talked about the Hilton Aspire card, and I could use this Surpass card. Now, I don't need both of them at the same time. And as I had said, my Aspire card is a 2025 card for like the places we're about to stay and the travel that we're about to do. It's great for 2025. I don't know what it's going to look like for 2026 yet. So, yes, I do think about these things. And so when my year is up with my Aspire card, do I product change it down? Do I keep it for another year? Depending on what my 2026 travel looks like. But do I do it often? No. Most of the cards I have I'm probably not looking to do too much with. I openly said I'm never going to cancel my Explorer card. If anything, if I ever did anything, I would just upgrade it to a United card. I wouldn't necessarily count that it's canceling. It's just beefing up the card. I'm never going to cancel my CSR. Literally have a video that says I'm never going to cancel it, and I probably won't. Still love it. Let's see what happens with Lyft, but even still, probably not going to let it go. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see. But in short, do I at least take the time to evaluate the wallet? Yes. Does it always end up panning out to I need to cancel or change? No, because the synergy of my strategy just works so well as is. Like, things can go up, but usually they don't come down.
And RJ, you have a certain penchant for mind mapping out cards, or did for a time. How do you approach this?
So I think to do the second part of the question first, I think mistakes are actually important in this game. Like, as much as people fret over making them because there are financial things at stake, I think trying out a new ecosystem or getting a card that you think is going to work out and having it not work out is actually more beneficial than sitting in front of YouTube for 10 hours watching us all talk. Now, I think you should watch Matt and Lonnie's individual videos. I think you should listen to this podcast. Like, I'm not saying that. But until you're in an ecosystem, you're not actually going to know how that ecosystem works for you. You're not going to know how the website works for you. You're not going to know how any of that works for you. So I think making mistakes should not be done lightly, but I think if you make a mistake, it's okay. Very few things, unless you're, getting yourself into credit card debt or things like that, can't be undone, right? No, maybe you never able to get a bonus on a card because you failed to get it, and Amex says no, we're never going to give you a gold offer again. Things like that happen, but there are other ways to get points, right? For me, usually on a yearly basis, October, November, I sit down and I take a look at the next year, what I want to do, when my renewals are, things like that. And then I just tinker, right? Like, I knew I wanted to get the Surpass. I applied for it kind of on a whim. Amex said, fine, well, you have begged, pleaded, and cajoled. We will give you this card. So I have the card now. I know that card is going to work for me. Like, I have no doubt. If it doesn't work for me, I either downgrade it to the $0 annual fee, I upgrade it to the Aspire, or I cancel it. Okay. Like, yeah, maybe I'm out the $150 or a portion of the $150. Though that credit is pretty easy to use if you stay at Hilton's. But okay, I learned something. I learned something that I could learn in basically no other way other than doing. I thought Cap One was going to be great. And then I forgot I was at a regional airport and I can't do the hacks that I wanted to do. Okay, I learned something. I'm going to downgrade the card to the $0 Venture One because they won't let me go to the Venture because it's a different payment processor. It's MasterCard instead of Visa. I'll still use the Capital One offers and I'll dump them into either Virgin or Choice. Okay, I learned something. Like, I think we need to not be afraid of learning things. I think we need to edit more. I think we also need to not be as afraid of, oh my God, if I get this card, I'm never going to be able to get another card. At this point, no, I'm not going to get a Wells card. Like I got the choice, I think probably because it's a choice card. It's not an actual Wells Fargo card. So that is off my table because I'm sick of applying for Wells Fargo cards after I behaved for 5.5 months and them saying no. So guess what? I'm not going to go there again. I learned something, right? Applying meant I learned something. Now, if I go, a year and a half without getting a new card because everything I've done works, maybe I try Wells, maybe I don't. But I've learned something. It's all data points. We can't internalize rejection of not getting a card as like a personal failing. Because as somebody who, understands underwriting and actuary stuff and stuff, it's not a personal thing. It's you're a number on a sheet. Like they don't know how awesome you are at bowling or gardening or karaoke, and they don't care. And honestly, you probably don't want them to actually care about that on an individual level because there's enough entangled between financial institutions and us as people. We don't need them like knowing our bowling score too.
I'm lucky to get into the 120s at this point. Both my shoulders are just gone. Um, yeah, to follow up from my co-hosts, do I do any kind of similar analysis? No, because I don't have I do not have a smorgasbord of annual fee cards to worry about. I have two. Does this annual fee card work for me? Yes. Cool. I'm going to keep paying the annual fee on that card. Does this annual fee card keep working for me? Yeah, I'm flown JetBlue in a little bit, but you're still planning on flying JetBlue? Yes. Okay, cool. Then you're good. So for me, my analysis is really easy. Am I going to do at least $300 in travel? Yes. Keep the CSR. Am I going to fly JetBlue at least once? Probably. Or yes. Keep the JetBlue business card. I'm good. Now, if I add more annual fee cards, that will certainly I'll have to certainly do more analysis and revisit things. Absolutely. But I also don't want to fall down a rabbit hole of analysis paralysis of trying to go like, well, if I get this card and then do this and then do this other thing and try and match things up perfectly. It's just going to drive me bonkers. Like there's a certain point where, pick your partners. Yes. Do everything you can to drive all of your spend to that one particular partner. Eh, maybe not. If I'm really worried about points with a particular partner, I'll just buy them. Like at the end of the day, I'll buy them. I'll use a 2% card to buy them, and I'll go through top cash back to get 2.5% cash back on top of that. For me, I tried a roadmap, but right now for the year, I don't have anything planned. I legitimately don't have any cards that I have to go out and get this year. There are cards that may launch that could be of interest, but they could also be crap when they launch. So I don't need to I'm not worried about adding cards right now. So I'll sit back and again, my analysis is really simple. Am I planning on at least $300 in travel? Keep the CSR. Am I taking at least one JetBlue flight? Keep the JetBlue business. It'll get more complex as my setup gets more complex, but I've got a bunch of new annual fee cards. I'm good there. I've got the CSR. As long as the CSR works for me, I'm set. So, yeah.
Matt has as many annual fee cards as I have no annual fee cards.
Yep. I'm going to be canceling out some new annual fee cards at some point, but I can also just let the banks do that. But yeah, that'll do it for questions. If you want to ask us a question, please use the comment section on your YouTube videos that drop on Fridays. Those are the Q&A videos. You can also use the Stack Your Points Discord. You can always join there. We have a dedicated podcast questions for you to ask questions there. You can also ask us questions via the email address stackyourpoints@gmail.com. Any of those would be great. We look forward to your questions, and as always, you like what we do, hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Drop us a comment on our Wednesday videos. Check out our Friday videos. That's the Q&A. You can drop a question there. You can also drop a question in our Discord. That is the Stack Your Points Discord. You can utilize the podcast questions section of the Discord for questions, podcast chats, talk about the podcast, and we have a whole bunch of other channels in there and some pretty awesome people in there as well. So some of whom you can find exclusively there. So that's awesome. And Lonnie, if we wanted to find you on the vast expanses of the internet, where's the best place to do that?
My little corner of the internet is on YouTube under my channel name, which is Call Me Lonnie, which is all one word, and Lonnie is spelled Lani. You can find me there. And if I'm not there, you can find me in your Stack Your Points Discord.
Thank you very much, Lonnie. Tariq, best place to find you on the internet?
Absolutely, Stack Your Points Discord. And now that I think work is gonna kind of chill out for me a little bit, Reeks Rewards. Still pending. Work is still kicking my butt, but the kicks are getting a little softer.
There we go. And RJ.
You can find me in the Stack Your Points Discord. I'm not promising nothing right now. No, you will find me here on Monday nights recording this podcast, Tuesday probably editing it, and Wednesday and Friday on your YouTubes, and Saturdays on your podcast feed. That's what you get from me right now, and you're gonna like it.
If you find RJ editing, RJ needs to run away.
RJ is tired right now, guys. It's been a long 3 months.
It's been a long 2025, and we just got into March.
Yeah, March is almost halfway over. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Matt from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel. Check me out there. You can check me out on the Stack Your Points Discord, and that'll do it. We will see you then.